Hey everyone, how's it going? iamxeracon here. This is an interesting thing. So, Star Wars is a franchise I've been a fan of for a long time. Um, and the last, I guess 5 years have been interesting to say the least. And I am kind of afraid of the future of the franchise because it just doesn't seem like we're getting the Star Wars we would expect, or I guess not expect, but it's just seeming to be a bit of a disappointment. Um, I mean, 7 was good until you realize that it was just a nostalgia trip, because it was literally just a copy and paste of Episode 4, and Rogue One was good, but it was great, actually, I should say. But that was really the only one that was legitimately good for its own reasons. 8 was definitely not great. It wasn't good. It was lukewarm. I mean, I don't even know where to start um, with this because there's just so many different reasons as to why the new Star Wars films just don't work, or why they're just a mess. Um, and because of that, like I said, we've only had 3 movies so far, and only one of them is legitimately good without being a ripoff. Um, so when you have 2 out of 3 that aren't good for their own reasons, that's saying a lot about a future where we should be expecting a new movie being pumped out year after year, or uh, every 2 years or so. Because this isn't going to stop now. Disney already made it clear that they're going to be pumping these things out until the end of time. So, where do we start with? Well, Star Wars 7, like I said, it's a copy and paste of Episode 4. If you've seen 4, you can already expect everything that you already know what's going to happen in 7. And there are things in there which just really kind of make me scratch my head as far as plot-wise, because you have let me see, where am I going with this? So you have all this stuff going on in the universe, and this is also going to connect over into Episode 8 as well. Also, there will be major spoilers in this discussion. So you have all the stuff that's going on, and you have, you know, you have General Leia, who is trying to fight the First Order, and, you know, all this stuff's going on, and things are getting worse, and then, at the end of the movie, Han Solo is killed by Kylo Ren. When Han is killed off, Leia feels that. She feels his death, because, you know, she is connected to the Force. Luke, on the other hand, does not feel anything, and that's considering the fact that he's had years of training with the Force. You know, he's a Jedi Master, he's learned these techniques, and he doesn't feel Han's death. His friend, who he's been with for a long time, you know, they fought together in the old days, and his brother-in-law, and he doesn't notice his death at all. And he's completely surprised when Rey and Chewie arrive and inform him of everything that's going on. And I'm just thinking to myself, why? How is that? Why do you think that's, you know, a possibility? Why wouldn't Luke feel that? I guess the next thing I want to point out is the fact that the Kylo Ren /Rey/Finn fight is bogus as well. because there's no way someone who's had that much training on the light and the dark side should, I guess, lose in a way. And how did Finn even damage Kylo Ren when he is a lower ranked stormtrooper? That's just ridiculous to me. I mean, you could. I mean, there's no viable excuse. And same thing. And same thing with Rey. Okay. I don't know how she got the upper hand there. And I asked someone, and I asked people who watch Star Wars with me, different circles of mine, and someone said that it could have been the Force. She was strong with it. Well, I'm thinking to myself, well, where was the Force when Anakin lost to Count Dooku? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put this straight. Anakin and Obi-Wan lost to Count Dooku. Where was the Force then with that? I'm calling this just complete, pure, stupid writing right there. That's just that's all I can say about that. And also the same thing with Rey learning these abilities without even ever hearing of them. You know how she was able to use force persuasion, and yet she's never heard of it before. Anakin, when he had to learned new abilities, he actually had to learn new abilities. He was taught these abilities. He didn't instinctively say, "Oh, here's a problem I'm having. Let me just figure out and pull out an ability that I've never heard of and just use it to win." I mean, sure, he was strong with the Force, and in a way, that's what helped him to win the pod race. But that's really the only time when we've seen him win something, and even then, you can't really say that it was a major problem that he actually knew the Force and knew how to use it, and was able to win, and repair his pod racer. You can't say that about that situation. And like I said, everything that he's learned was through his training. Rey, on the other hand, she just instinctively can use these abilities that she's never heard of. It's like going to, I don't know. It's like going to, I guess, well, man, this is even worse because, like I said, you actually have to know you actually have to know this thing you're using before you can use it. Supposed to say that it's like going to an airport and then being able to fly a plane without ever learning how to fly a plane. But you don't even know what a plane is, but you're not even allowed to know what a plane is, and yet you're able to fly it. That's just that. It's like that. Um, and I think Rey is just a bit too, I guess, overpowered per se, because she's been able to do a lot of things with minimum effort or with minimum training. And like going back to Anakin, that's something which he actually had to do. He had to learn. He had to train. And even through his training, he's made mistakes. He's messed up. And, he's corrected those mistakes, but still, he still had to learn. He still went through a long journey of learning and correcting those mistakes and making more mistakes. But Rey, she's made few minimal mistakes, um, and with minimal training, I might add. And you could say, well, look at Luke. I mean, Luke's had minimum training, and stuff like that. But here's the thing, though. Luke, when he went up against Darth Vader, round one, he lost. All right, he was creamed. He lost his own hand, and you don't see that with Rey. She went up against Kylo Ren. Oh, she bested him. Like, where's the logic in that? It doesn't make any sense at all that this would happen. I mean, and even in 8, she was only given 3 days worth of training with Luke, which actually is another thing because, I mean, I would have to watch this again to make sure that this is accurate as far as what I'm going to say. But based on what I remember, when the rebels were fleeing from the First Order, I thought they said something about they had a total number of hours of fuel left for their ships, but Rey is given 3 days of training, and they're able to hold out for that long, or at least 2 days, because I think they already went to that one planet by the time by the time she left. So this is completely ridiculous as far as that's concerned, and you could say that Luke had minimum training as well. However, he also returned after the events of uh, Episode 5. There is a short, so it's quite possible that he did go and he returned to Yoda and finished his training and whatnot there. So you still can't compare these two, because Luke still got in training, and more training, I should say, than Rey did. And even though he had this training, he still would have had to learn more. Um, you know, it's just it's just weird. Um, Now, Episode 8 did do copy and paste, but they didn't completely do, I guess, copy and paste. They didn't go too crazy. Well, they went crazy with it, but they did more and less. And by that, I mean, they didn't completely copy over 5, story to end. However, they sort of just went, let's take 5 and let's take 6, and just put it in together. I mean, it starts off with the rebels fleeing the First Order, and then Episode 5 starts with the rebels fleeing the Empire. And the crazy thing is, at the end of Episode 8, they're at that planet, and what a lot of people, I guess, believed was going to be a Hoth snow planet, it wasn't actually snow, but it was salt. To which one soldier picks up the salt and realizes that it's salt. And I think that's the movie sort of trying to be self-aware of the fact that you expected this to be snow, but it's not snow at all. But it's still sort of like the same thing. They're trying to like destroy the shield generator and get inside, and you have like the ATs outside lining up, and the only thing they didn't do was say, "Hey, grab a harpoon and tow cable, go for the legs." That's the only thing with that scene that they didn't have. Now, Luke's character is a complete mess because he's a complete baby. He's pretty much what Anakin was in the first 2 films. Always sulking, crying about the entire situation, and it just doesn't make sense because, hey, you have, even though, you might have felt like you let down Kylo Ren, or that this is all your fault, or stuff like that, you really think that he would just go and exile himself because of that? And one person in a video I saw pointed out the fact that if Luke was able to see that Darth Vader, who hunted down the entire Jedi Order and murdered them all, and if he did all that, and he's been helping the Empire for years, and he was able to see the good in him, why couldn't he see the good in Kylo Ren? You know, and that was actually a very good point, because there's no reason why Luke would say that. Why Luke would feel that Kylo Ren was a lost cause when Darth Vader was, I guess considered a lost cause as well. So that's really bad inconsistency right there. And the movie also has Disney moments in there. What do I mean by that? Well, in the beginning, when Poe was going up and he was like talking to General Hux, and was having that sort of talk with him and stuff, and was pretty much just distracting him. That felt like a Disney moment because it just felt too childish to be in a Star Wars movie. Not that I'm saying that Star Wars doesn't have any humor in it, but it just didn't feel like an actual Star Wars. It felt kind of forced. And the same thing goes with the whole casino area and how they had to free the I don't remember what they were called, but that sort of thing. That was like a Disney adventure for the kids sort of thing. And also talking about the greed and stuff is kind of ironic considering the fact that Disney wanted an extra cut of box office revenue and the fact that they required all theaters to have the Star Wars film running in their largest theater for, I think, 6 weeks minimum. Otherwise, there would be an additional fine for that. So that's really ironic that they're talking about, oh, they're so greedy when the company that owns the movie is greedy themselves. So that's just a lot of hypocrisy right there. And Rose doesn't feel like a character who's necessary. If anything, she's really just there, I guess, just to be there. And I think it was really stupid when she went and crashed into Finn's ship at the end, when he could have saved everyone by sacrificing himself for everyone else. And yet, there's no guarantee that, he would have survived had he, had she, when she ran into him. What if she smacked right into him and killed him right there, Then it would have made this whole situation pointless. So I feel like two things should have happened in that part. Either A, have Finn sacrifice himself for the greater good, or B, have Rose die after she ran right into him. Because that just felt so forced too, also when she kissed him as well. And I'm like, okay, Disney, are you trying to set up a Rose Finn thing? Because you already established that this was supposed to be a Rey Finn thing, and now you're doing this, and you're making it into some sort of love triangle, and that's just really weird and confusing right now. And unnecessary for a Star Wars film at that, I might add. What else was there? Oh. So when Luke finally dies, can we just say that was a bit weird and rushed and maybe a bit forced? Because I don't know why that sort of had to happen. It just felt a bit unusual. I mean, if you're going to have him die, at least sort of have it, I guess, go on a little bit, give us a bit more before you actually kill him off. Because when Yoda died, that didn't feel forced. Yoda was there. We'd already known that he was very old, and that he was pretty much on his last legs. When Obi-Wan died, he did it for a good reason. He allowed himself to be killed by Darth Vader to allow everyone to escape. But this one here didn't feel like there was any reason to actually have him die, other than the fact that, hey, we're having him die, he realizes that he was wrong about what, I don't know, and it just doesn't feel right. There is criticism over Leia and doing what they call the Mary Poppins flying through space, and I can agree with that, but I guess I can also not agree with it, because in the expanded universe, she has been taught how to use the Force before, and she does know about Force abilities. In fact, she even received training from Luke in one of the books. So I can understand that. But expanded universe is non-canon, so that still renders that point moot, though. Yeah, it's just a big mess. Now, one thing that I can say that I've actually sort of enjoyed from Disney owning it are the, I guess, villain comic books. And by that I mean the Darth Vader, Darth Maul comics, because it does show a nice, good storyline that fleshes out the characters. It shows that also that the relationship between the master and apprentice wasn't as rainbows and sunshine as the movies would lead us to believe, because you never saw actual conflict going on between Darth Maul and Darth Sidious and Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. However, in these comics, you will see that there are uh, that they do have their arguments, their spats. The apprentices do try to do things behind Darth Sidious's back, um, and and the fact that Darth Sidious does actually threaten to kill them because he sees them as incompetent, or the fact that they would interfere with his plans. And actually, in some ways, and then later on, he's actually sort of impressed, because they actually did defy him in some regards, because it shows that they are showing aspects of a Sith Lord. Um, So I think those are pretty neat. But I do, sort of enjoy my Legends expanded universe comics as well. In fact, I recently bought this Star Wars Infinities, where these are pretty much just taking the plots of the uh, 4, 5, and 6 the films, making them into a comic and making them comic book form. Only the difference is that um, there are changes that change the outcome of the story. So, like for this one, um, it's like, what if when Jabba was going through negotiation with Leia in disguise, and he got outraged and he smacks C-3PO, what if he knocked off his head instead? And that just leads to a chain of events with that. And I know that 5 starts off with, what if Luke died on Hoth, what if Han didn't find him in time and he froze to death? And I don't remember what the premise with 4 was going to be. But it is still very interesting, though. I do recommend actually giving these a read if you can find a copy. But yes, I am not looking forward. I can actually say now. One thing I will say though is that 8 did do some things that I wasn't expecting. Like, I didn't expect Kylo Ren to just kill Snoke right there. I didn't expect Snoke to not even notice that. That was completely unexpected. And then, Kylo Ren actually, got some backbone and is now leading the First Order, and is just like on a massive manhunt now that he's just going to snuff out the rebels completely. And that's something that will be interesting to see in Episode 9. However, I still feel like many of these oversights, these inconsistencies, are going to be in Episode 9, and I feel like, yeah, I mean, that might be the last Star Wars film I see, even though they will have the standalone films and whatnot. There's the Han Solo film, which, to be honest, I'm not really excited to see anyway. So, yeah, so that might be the last one. And then there's also one thing which I should also mention, is the fact that you really can't remember too many of the planets in the new Star Wars films compared to the old one. Because I actually tried doing this, and with the original 6 films, you would have Tatooine, Naboo, Coruscant, Geonosis, Camino. Wait, I'm missing one. Geonosis. First one had Tatooine, Naboo, Coruscant, and then second one had Geonosis, Camino, and then, third one had Kashyyyk, I'm missing names. Mustafar. I know. Yeah, there are definitely more that I can't remember their names. Then you have uh, Dantooine, you have Bespin, you have Yavin 4, you have Dagobah, you have Endor, um, you have Hoth. You have quite a few planets that you can remember. The only ones that I actually remember from 7 and 8 is Jakku. And it's only because that, when EA made Battlefront, the first Battlefront, they were making a big, hype over the Battle of Jakku. And that's the only reason I can remember the name of that planet. Um, so there's kind of a bit of a problem when you can't even remember a planet's name, and it just feels like people just go to places, do things, and then go to another planet. Um, so it just feels weird like that. But that's pretty much it, though. I'm pretty sure there are other complaints that I have, inconsistencies and plot details, but that's really all I have that I can just get off my chest right now. So that's it for now. Let me know what you think of the new Star Wars films. Um, and until next time, everyone, I am iamxeracon signing out. Have a good one.